Did you know that dogs possess an incredibly special kind of memory? They don't just remember places, scents, or the commands you once taught them. They also remember the moments that hurt them. The times you accidentally raised your voice, a gesture you thought was harmless, or the moment you turned away when they needed you most. All of these can leave a deeper mark in their minds than you might think. And the sad part is, there are actions that, once they happen, they will never forget. Some of them, they might never even forgive. Today, we're going to share with you 15 serious mistakes that you should absolutely avoid when caring for your dog. Not to make you feel guilty, but to help you prevent hurting your loyal four-legged friend, the one who loves you with all their heart, whether you're right or wrong. And one of the first things that can cause deep emotional wounds often begins with the very words you think are full of affection. Think about a simple moment when you gently say, "Come here," and your dog obediently runs toward you, tail wagging, eyes sparkling with excitement. To them, that call is a promise, a gentle pet, a warm hug, or simply the presence of the person they love the most. But then, one day, that same call leads to a bath they absolutely hate, or a nerve-wracking trip to the vet. And you might not notice, but they do. Once, then twice. Gradually, the command, "Come here," once a golden ticket to joy, becomes a signal of something unpleasant, unclear, and unsafe. And then you begin to notice. They don't come running anymore. They hesitate. They tilt their head and look at you, as if asking, "Is it going to be something bad this time too?" Just a very small change, but it's a sign of a crack in their trust. What makes them turn away isn't anger. It's the soft feeling of betrayal, when the affectionate call is no longer something to look forward to. And when that happens, the bond between you and them begins to shift. Quietly, but surely. Have you ever seen that hesitant look in their eyes? Have you ever called their name and instead of rushing to you like always, they just stood still, looking at you, sad and confused? If so, then perhaps you've lost a piece of the trust that was once absolute. It doesn't stop there. What could be worse than seeing your dog do something wrong, and then, losing your temper, you punish them? Or worse, rub their nose in the mistake as a way of teaching. You might think you're educating them, but from the dog's perspective, it's a moment filled with shame and fear. They don't understand why you're angry. All they learn is that you, the person they love, just made them feel confused and threatened. Next time, if an accident happens, chances are they'll choose to quietly hide it instead of turning to you for help. Have you ever seen that scared look in their eyes when you accidentally raised your voice? If you have, maybe it's time to consider a different approach, one that's softer, more patient, and more compassionate with your dog's emotions. And you know what? Punishment, yelling, scolding, not only hurt them emotionally, but also destroy a dog's motivation to learn. If someone shouted in your face just because you forgot to take out the trash, would you feel motivated to do better? Dogs are no different. When they're overwhelmed by guilt or fear, their brain doesn't learn what's right. It only learns how to avoid what's wrong. But if you replace that with a reward, a gentle look, or simply a kind word, they'll begin to understand. Oh, doing this makes my person happy. And then they'll repeat the good behavior, not out of fear, but out of love. Have you ever tried praising instead of scolding? Try it for 1 week and feel the difference in your dog's eyes. But even when you don't scold or punish, sometimes simple neglect can still cause emotional wounds. There are days when you're too busy, coming home exhausted, not even greeting or petting the dog who's been waiting all day just to see you. To them, you are their whole world. But if day after day that whole world walks by without even a glance, how could that little heart not feel ignored? They may not say anything, but they feel it, and they hold it deep inside. If you've had a busy week like that, today, just spend 10 minutes playing with them, talking to them, or simply sitting by their side. Love doesn't need to be grand. It just needs to show up at the right time. And then, when these little behaviors repeat, you yell, you forget to play, you don't smile at them like you used to, you might start thinking your dog is grumpy, hard to manage, or more destructive than before. But sometimes, it's you who hasn't realized that their one safe space, the crate, the familiar rug, has quietly become a place of punishment. Every time they misbehave, you lock them in the crate. Every time you're upset, you push them in there like saying, "Go to your corner." And then one day, the place that should have been for rest turns into a symbol of isolation. You may not mean to, but the damage is still there. So why not turn the crate into a space of comfort? Place their favorite toy inside, a few tasty treats, a soft pillow, and use it like a cozy bedroom, not a place of discipline. Have you ever tried creating a private room just for your dog? These seemingly small actions, when replaced with understanding and love, can work wonders. And if you've found yourself in any of these situations, don't feel bad. All of us, at some point, have failed to fully understand our loyal companion. But the amazing thing is, with dogs, as long as your change is sincere, they will learn to trust you again. Just like the very first time. Have you ever made any of these mistakes? Share your thoughts in the comments so that other dog lovers can learn and grow together. And if you feel these things truly matter, don't forget to subscribe, so you won't miss out on heartfelt and meaningful videos made just for you and your four-legged friend. Because love for dogs isn't just in the heart, it's in the actions we take every day. We often say that dogs live by instinct, but in truth, what they love most is consistency, in actions, in routines, and in affection. They love knowing what to expect, meals at the same time, sleep in the same spot, and a few simple rules that help them feel safe in the human world. But many dog owners fall into an invisible trap. Today, the dog is allowed on the sofa, but tomorrow, they're scolded for it. Today, they're allowed to jump up on someone, but the next day, they get pushed away. And for a dog who's trying to learn how to live in harmony with you, that inconsistency feels like a game with no rules. Can you imagine being taught that you can eat cookies in bed, but then being yelled at the next day for doing the same thing? That's exactly how a dog feels when there are no clear boundaries. Setting rules isn't about control, it's about helping them understand their place and role in the family. And that's what makes them feel truly loved. So, have you ever gathered everyone in the house to agree on a few gentle rules for your dog? Once they have a safe framework to live within, the next thing dogs need is empathy, especially in moments of fear. It might seem strange to see a large dog tremble at the sound of a vacuum cleaner, or a tiny dog hiding under the table whenever there's thunder. But to them, those sounds can feel like invisible monsters invading their world. And the way you respond in those moments, whether it's a comforting hug or an annoyed sigh, leaves a deeper mark on their memory than you might expect. A simple act like sitting down beside them, gently stroking their back, or just speaking in a soft voice, "It's okay, I'm right here," can turn a panicked heart into a peaceful one. That's when your dog no longer sees you as just the one who feeds them, but as their safe place whenever the world makes them tremble. Have you ever had a moment like that? If you have, share it, so that new dog owners can also understand. Being strong doesn't mean being unfeeling. Just like humans, dogs also need their own space, but not to be isolated as a form of punishment. Many people lock their dogs in a crate whenever they do something wrong, as a way to teach them a lesson. But remember, a crate is not a prison. It should be a warm bedroom, a place for rest, relaxation, and a sense of safety. If every time they enter it, it's tied to feelings of being scolded or pushed away from your arms, how can they ever feel secure in there? So try something simple. Add a soft pillow, a few favorite toys, and tuck a little snack in the corner. And turn that space into a peaceful little haven. You might be surprised to see your dog happily step into the crate, not because they're forced to, but because it's their own space, a place where they feel respected. Have you ever tried letting your dog choose the crate like that? And if you still think playing is just for children, then you might be overlooking one of your dog's most essential needs: physical activity and mental stimulation. A long day without interactive engagement, for a dog, is just as exhausting and boring as it would be for a person sitting still for 8 hours without a break. And you know what happens when a mind is full of pent-up energy with no outlet? That's right, chewing up slippers, tearing apart the sofa, digging holes in the yard. Not because they're bad, but because they're trying to release all the built-up energy. But you don't need to take them to the park every day, or build a full playground. Just a short game of tug-of-war, a quick round of fetch down the hallway, or even a toy box with hidden treats can be enough to light up those excited eyes. Try just 10 minutes each morning, and you'll see a different dog. Happier, calmer, and more connected. And most importantly, you're building a bond based on shared joy, not just routine responsibility. Something many dog owners unintentionally overlook is the need for socialization. Dogs are pack animals. If you don't give them chances to meet other dogs, explore new environments, or interact with people outside the family, they can become withdrawn, fearful, or react negatively when faced with unfamiliar situations. A few trips to the park, joining a training class, or simply walking down new streets, all of it can help expand their inner world. Have you ever noticed how your dog comes home looking more content after a play session with the neighbor's pup? That's because they've just had a healthy social experience, something no toy in the world can replace. So ask yourself, are you giving your dog that opportunity? Even though we always try our best to love and care for our dogs, some of our actions, though completely unintentional, can quietly create cracks in the bond we share with them. And one of the things that can hurt a dog's feelings the most is when they are compared. You may have said something like, "Why can't you behave like that other dog?" Or, "Other people's dogs sit still for photos, and you just keep moving around." It may sound harmless to us, but did you know, even though dogs don't understand every word, they can feel your tone, your gaze, and the disappointment hidden in your voice. To them, you are their whole world. And when that world looks at them as if they're not good enough, it hurts. Just like a child being compared to someone else's perfect kid. Instead of wishing your dog were more like someone else's, try loving them for who they are, whether they're shy, hyper, or a little clumsy. Because just like people, every dog is unique. And when they're accepted just as they are, they shine in their own special way. So what about you? What's the one quirky thing about your dog that you love the most? Share it with others, because sometimes that silly trait might just be the most lovable thing in the world. And if you want to understand your dog more deeply, Start by learning their body language. They can't speak like humans, but they communicate through every glance, every lip lick, every head turn, or the way their tail quietly drops. Yet many people overlook these signs and unintentionally ignore their dog when it's trying to say, "I'm anxious," "I need space," or "I'm not ready to interact." Learning to read these signals doesn't just help you avoid difficult situations. It builds a deeper bond based on real respect and listening. Have you ever noticed your dog turn its head away when you hug too tightly? That might be their gentle way of saying, "I love you, but I'm feeling a little overwhelmed." And it's in those quiet moments of listening that you truly become a friend, not just an owner. But sometimes, because we don't understand those signals, we tease our dogs when they're already stressed, pretending to startle them, tapping on their crate when they're hiding, or laughing when they growl out of fear. To us, it's just a joke. But to a dog, it's a deep sense of being unsafe, feeling exposed, unprotected, and laughed at by the very person they trust can leave long-lasting scars. They don't understand jokes the way we do. What they do understand is kindness. A gentle voice, a soft gaze, and the feeling that says, "I'm safe when I'm with you." If you've ever teased your dog in the name of fun, try watching their reaction next time. You might see eyes that aren't laughing with you. And if that happens, don't blame yourself. Just begin again with more gentleness starting today. Perhaps the most heartbreaking thing is when dogs are scolded for reacting on instinct. They jump on guests because they're too excited, bark when they see something unfamiliar, or scratch at the door because they miss you. And then they get yelled at, pushed away, or punished for not behaving. But what if they could speak? What would they say? "I just wanted some attention. I was scared and didn't know what else to do." Or simply, "I missed you, so I ran out." Excitement, anxiety, curiosity. These are all completely normal reactions from a dog trying to live in a human world. Instead of punishing them, guide them with patience. When they jump, teach them to sit. When they bark, use calming cues. When they scratch at the door, remember. Maybe you are the one thing that made their day meaningful. And when you begin with empathy, you'll see those behaviors fade. Not because they're forbidden, but because they're understood. And finally, something many people still do with good intentions, but that can easily break a dog's trust, is forcing them to interact with strangers or other animals before they're ready. You might think that the more they meet, the more they'll get used to it. But for dogs, trust doesn't come from being pushed into uncomfortable situations. It comes from being given the choice. If you're constantly pulling the leash, dragging them toward strangers, or picking them up to get close to another dog so they can make friends, what are they feeling? They feel betrayed by the very person they believed would protect them. Instead, let them approach when they feel safe. Slowly, with you by their side, without pressure. Just like a child needs time to adjust to a new classroom, dogs need gentle, respectful support. You can sit down, let them observe from a distance, and decide for themselves whether to come closer or not. And if you give them that choice, you might be surprised by how your dog grows, becoming more confident and ready to face the world at their own pace. After everything we've shared, perhaps the biggest message isn't "don't make mistakes," but rather, love with understanding. Dogs don't need you to be perfect. They just need you to be sincere and always willing to learn how to love them better day by day. Have you ever unintentionally done any of these things? If so, share your story in the comments, not to be judged, but so we can all learn and grow together in this journey of raising these incredible four-legged friends. And if you want to keep walking alongside us in these heartfelt journeys, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next videos. Because here, we're not just learning how to raise dogs. We're learning how to become the trusted companion they've always believed in. You walk him every morning, you fill his bowl. You make sure he's warm at night. You've done your best to love him in the way you know how. But what if I told you? Some of those very things you do every single day are the things he will never forgive. I'm not talking about the times you forgot a treat or came home a little late. This is about actions so common, so ordinary, that most owners don't even notice, yet they quietly chip away at your dog's trust. It's not about the food in his bowl, or how long your walks are, or how expensive his toys might be. It's something smaller, quieter, hidden in plain sight. And here's the part most people never hear: 70% of dog owners make at least one of these mistakes without realizing it. That means, the odds are, you might be one of them. I know it sounds heavy. But here's the truth. You don't need fancy training tools or complicated techniques to fix this. You just need to see your dog in a slightly different way, and let him see you differently too. When you do, you'll notice it in the way he looks at you, the way he relaxes when you walk in the room, the way he follows you, not because he has to, but because he wants to. Today, I'm going to show you 16 things your dog will never forgive, and how to turn every single one of them into moments that make your bond stronger than ever. Anyone can do this. You can start before the next time you clip on his leash. The question is, are you ready to be part of the few whose dogs don't just obey them, but adore them for life? Then let's begin with the mistake most owners make on their very next walk. You've done it before. I've done it before. Almost every owner has. You're out for a walk, your dog starts pulling, and without even thinking, you give the leash a quick jerk. It feels like the natural way to get him back under control. But let me ask you, if someone yanked you by the neck while you were walking, how would that feel? That sharp choke, the sudden pressure, the jolt you didn't see coming. Your dog feels the exact same thing, but he can't tell you in words. And here's the part that's hard to hear. Studies have shown that repeated leash jerks can damage the trachea, compress blood vessels, even cause injuries to the spine. For smaller breeds like pugs, chihuahuas, or poodles, that pressure can lead to a collapsed trachea, which means lifelong breathing problems and a cough that never really goes away. I know you never meant to hurt him. None of us do. But physical damage isn't the only wound. Every time that leash goes tight and snaps, you might be teaching him that walks are something to fear. You've seen it before: the dog who hesitates when the leash comes out, or who clings close to his owner not because he's obedient, but because he's afraid of what happens if he moves too far ahead. That's not trust. That's tension. And the thing is, this one's easy to change. Switch to a harness that takes the pressure off his neck. When he pulls, don't yank back, just stop and wait. Give him a little more freedom with a longer leash. And the second he walks without pulling, tell him he's good. Reward him right there in the moment. It's not about letting him run wild. It's about showing him that walking with you is safe. Do that, and you'll see something change, not just in his stride, but in his eyes. And that's the kind of moment no dog will ever forget, or need to forgive. But if you think pulling on the leash is the only everyday habit that chips away at your dog's trust, wait until you hear what happens when you raise your voice even once. You've probably done this too. I have. The dog chews a shoe, knocks over the trash, or ignores you when you call him. You feel that flash of frustration, and before you even think, your voice is up. Maybe you shout his name. Maybe you throw in a no that echoes across the room. It feels like you're teaching him a lesson. But here's the problem. He has no idea what lesson you think you're teaching. Dogs don't link a scolding to something they did 5 minutes ago. They live in the moment. So when you raise your voice, all he feels is the heat in your tone, the tension in your body, the way your face changes. To him, you're not correcting a behavior, you're suddenly unpredictable. And unpredictable is scary. In a study comparing aversive training to reward-based training, dogs in the aversive group showed more stress behaviors, higher cortisol levels, and even what scientists call pessimistic judgment. That means they stopped expecting good things to happen. Imagine living like that with someone you love. You've seen the signs. The dog who avoids eye contact slinks away when you approach, or freezes when you speak sharply. He's not being stubborn. He's protecting himself from you. And here's the truth. You need to hear every shout chips away at trust. And trust is the glue that holds your bond together. Changing this starts with your tone. Keep it firm, keep it calm, and show him what you want instead. If he's chewing your shoe, swap it for a toy. If he's barking too much, redirect him to something else and praise him the moment he stops. You can still guide him without making him fear you. Because once a dog learns to fear his owner, there's another kind of damage that follows. And it doesn't come from sound, but from what you choose to ignore. And that's what we're going to talk about next. You've seen it happen. The vacuum roars to life, and your dog bolts to the other room. A thunderclap shakes the house, and he dives under the bed. Maybe it's something smaller, a beep from the smoke detector, a new piece of furniture in the corner. You look at him trembling, and maybe without thinking, you laugh. Or you pull out your phone to record it, because it's cute. But here's what he knows that you don't. In his mind, in his body, that moment is deadly serious. Dogs can develop deep fears of sounds and objects we barely notice. In one study, researchers found that household noises, especially high-pitched, unpredictable ones, can trigger stress just as much as fireworks or thunderstorms. And here's where we, the people who love them, make a mistake. We think ignoring it will make it go away. Sometimes we even make it worse by teasing, pushing the scary thing closer, or telling them to get over it. But fear doesn't work that way. In that moment, your dog isn't being dramatic. He's asking you to keep him safe. When you dismiss or mock that fear, you're not just leaving him to deal with it alone. You're telling him you can't be trusted when he's most vulnerable. And that's a wound that doesn't heal quickly. Instead, help him build courage step by step. Let him see the object from a distance, reward him when he looks without flinching, then slowly close the gap over days or weeks. Show him you'll stand beside him until the fear shrinks down to nothing. Because if fear is left to grow, it can turn into something even more painful for both of you. It's not just about what scares him, it's about what happens when he thinks you might never come back. And that's where we're headed next. You grab your keys, put on your shoes, and he's already watching you. His ears twitch, his body stiffens. Maybe he follows you from room to room. You think it's just habit. But for him, it's the moment the clock starts ticking, on a kind of loneliness you can't measure in minutes. Dogs don't understand work schedules, errands, or "I'll be back soon." They just know you're gone, and they don't know for how long, or if you're coming back at all. Some dogs cry, bark, or chew through the couch when they're left alone. Others go silent, lying in the same spot, until you return like they've given up on the day. In a large-scale study, researchers found that separation-related behaviors are linked to fear, panic, and even depression in dogs. It's not mischief. It's anxiety, pure and simple, and it comes from not knowing how to cope without you. I've seen the signs. Maybe you have too. The howling neighbor dog, the torn-up rug, the silent one who doesn't eat until his owner returns. Each one is telling the same story: I don't feel safe when you're not here. And the truth is, this kind of fear doesn't just fade over time. It gets worse, and it can change the way your dog sees the world. And you. But here's the hope. You can teach him that being alone doesn't mean being abandoned. Start with minutes, not hours. Leave him with a shirt that smells like you, a toy that takes time to figure out, maybe some quiet music in the background. Come back before the panic sets in. Show him that departures are temporary and returns are certain. Do that enough times, and you'll see the shift. He'll start to believe you. Because when you give him that kind of security, you protect the trust you've built. And that trust can still be broken in a moment you might think is affectionate. That's the next mistake, and it's one most people don't even realize they make. He's in your arms, soft and warm, and you don't want to let go. Maybe you're protecting him from a stranger, or maybe he's just so cute you want to hold him a little longer. But here's the thing. Most owners never think about. Not every hug feels like love to a dog. Sometimes it feels like a trap. Dogs aren't built for forced contact. When you wrap your arms around him and don't let him move, you're taking away one of his most important comforts: the ability to choose. In studies on canine behavior, dogs restrained against their will showed more signs of stress, lip-licking, yawning, stiffening, even turning their head away to avoid eye contact. And if that escape isn't possible, some will freeze. Others might snap, not because they don't love you, but because they've learned they can't get free. It's easy to miss the signs. You think he's calm in your arms, but maybe he's just shut down. Maybe that slow blink isn't contentment, it's resignation. And every time you ignore those signals, you're telling him your affection matters more than his comfort. That's not the message you want him to carry. The fix is simple. Let him come to you. Let him lean in, nuzzle your hand, rest his head on your lap. When the contact is his choice, it's trust in action. And trust is the kind of love he can feel, not just endure. Because here's the truth. No matter how much you love him, time is moving. One day you'll look over and realize he's not the same dog he used to be. And if you don't see the signs, you might miss the moment when he needs you most. That's the next mistake. It happens quietly. There's no big event, no sudden change. One day he just moves a little slower getting up from his bed. He lags behind you on the walk. He spends more time sleeping, less time chasing the ball. And you tell yourself he's just tired, maybe a little lazy. But here's the truth most owners don't want to face. He's not lazy. He's aging. And aging means pain he can't explain to you. In a study of older dogs, researchers found that many owners missed the signs of chronic pain, especially arthritis. They didn't recognize the stiff joints, the careful way the dog shifted his weight, the hesitation before climbing stairs. To us, it looks like he's just slowing down. To him, every step might be a quiet wince. I've seen this mistake break hearts, not because the owners didn't care, they cared deeply. They just didn't know what they were seeing. And by the time they realized, the damage was harder to manage. But here's the good news. When you spot it early, you can make his life so much easier. Softer bedding, shorter but more frequent walks, joint supplements, pain relief approved by your vet, small changes that tell him you see him, you understand, and you're with him every step of the way. Because this isn't just about comfort, it's about dignity. And when you give an old dog dignity, you give him a reason to keep going. But even a dog who trusts you completely can lose that trust in seconds. if you take away something he loves without warning. And that's where we're going next. Picture this. He's chewing his favorite toy tail, gently wagging, completely lost in his own little world. Or maybe he's halfway through his dinner head, buried in the bowl. And then, without thinking, you reach in and take it away. Maybe you just wanted to see if he'd let you. Maybe you needed to throw the toy or wash the bowl. You think it's no big deal. But in his mind, you've just proven that the things he treasures aren't safe when you're around. Dogs don't guard food and toys because they're selfish. They guard them because they're afraid of losing them. In studies on canine behavior, this is called resource guarding, and it's often created, not cured, by owners who repeatedly snatch things away. Over time, that fear hardens into habit. The low growl when you get too close. The tense body over a toy. The snap if you don't back off. And once it's there, it's hard to undo. I've seen dogs carry a toy to the farthest corner of the house, watching every move you make, because they've learned that what they love can disappear in an instant. The fix isn't to force your hand into his bowl or prove dominance. It's to teach him that letting go leads to something better. Offer a trade, a treat for the toy, a fresh bite for the bowl, and then give it back. Over time, he learns you're not the thief in the story, you're the giver. Because when a dog feels safe in what's his, he's safer with you. But even when you get that part right, there's another mistake that can undo your good intentions, one that comes from wanting him clean, but ends up stripping away something his body needs every single day. That's next. We all want our dogs to be clean. That fresh scent after a bath, the soft coat under your hand, it feels like love. So it's easy to think, the more often I bathe him, the better. But here's what most owners never realize. Every bath takes something away from him. Not the dirt, not the smell. Something his body actually needs. A dog's skin produces natural oils that protect against bacteria, keep the coat healthy, and lock in moisture. Wash too often, and you strip that layer away. What you're left with is dry, itchy skin, a dull coat, and sometimes even infections. Vets see it all the time, well-meaning owners bathing their dogs weekly, even daily, without knowing they're washing away the first line of defense. And here's the part that's tricky. If you go too long without a bath, you can swing the other way. Dirt, excess oil, and bacteria can build up and cause problems of their own. The sweet spot for most dogs. About every 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the breed and lifestyle. In between a quick paw and belly wipe after a walk is enough to keep him fresh without damaging his skin. I've met owners who only learned this after months of chasing skin issues, switching shampoos, trying supplements, never realizing the real problem was simply too much soap and water. Once they eased up, the coat came back, the itching stopped, and the dog was more comfortable than he'd been in months. Because here's the truth, you can fix a skin problem, but there's another kind of harm that's harder to repair. It's not about what you wash off, but about what you say or how much you say every single day. And that's where we're heading next. We all talk to our dogs. Sometimes we talk to them like they're people, telling them whole stories, explaining why we're upset, or reminding them again what they did wrong. It feels like we're communicating. But here's the thing. Dogs don't speak in paragraphs. They live in short, sharp words and the tone that wraps around them. Science has shown that dogs process vocabulary and tone separately, and they only pick out a few familiar words from all the noise. So when you say, "I told you not to take food off the table," what he hears is a stream of sounds, maybe catching food or table, but missing the meaning you think you're giving. And the longer you go on, the faster his focus slips away. I've watched this happen. The dog's ears flick once, then his eyes wander, then he just lies down, not because he understands, but because he's tuned you out. That's not defiance, it's just how his brain works. And the more you drown your commands in extra words, the harder it is for him to connect action to meaning. The fix is simple, but powerful. Keep it short. 1 or 2 words for each command, always the same. Always with a tone that matches what you want. Sit. No. Come. It's not less loving, it's clearer, kinder, and far more effective. And when he knows exactly what you mean, he can give you exactly what you're asking for. Because clarity builds trust. And that trust can shatter in an instant if you startle him in the one place he should feel safest, his sleep. And that's the mistake we're about to hit next. He's curled up in his bed, breathing slow pause, twitching in a dream you'll never see. Maybe you reach down to stroke him, or you touch his side to wake him up for a walk. You mean well. But in that moment, you've just ripped him out of the deepest, safest part of his day, and he doesn't know why. Dogs just like us have stages of deep sleep where their bodies heal, and their minds process everything they've learned. When they're jolted awake, the confusion hits first, then the fear. For older dogs, or those with fading eyesight, or hearing that fear can be sharp enough to trigger a defensive reaction. I've seen sweet, gentle dogs snap in that split second, not because they're mean, but because they were scared. And here's the part most people miss. It's not about never waking your dog. It's about how you do it. Call his name softly from a few feet away. Let your footsteps or your voice be the first thing he notices. Give him those few seconds to swim up from his dreams before you touch him. That tiny bit of space tells him you respect his world as much as he respects yours. Because when a dog feels safe, even in his most vulnerable state, that safety carries into everything else you do together. And that feeling can vanish if you take away one of his greatest joys, the chance to explore the world through his nose. That's where we're going next. For us, a walk is about movement, getting from point A to point B, maybe stretching our legs, maybe burning off some energy. But for him, it's a story unfolding under his nose. Every tree, every patch of grass, every corner holds 100 scents, each one telling him who's been there, what they were doing, even how they were feeling. This is his news feed, his social network, his way of reading the world. And too many of us keep yanking him right past it. I've seen it over and over. The leash goes tight. The owner pulls forward. The dog is forced to leave a scent mid-investigation. We think we're teaching him to walk properly. What we're really teaching him is that his curiosity doesn't matter. Studies on canine enrichment show that sniffing not only reduces stress, but also improves a dog's mental well-being. Denying that isn't just cutting the walk short, it's cutting short one of his greatest daily pleasures. Letting him sniff doesn't mean letting him drag you all over the place. A longer leash, a little extra time at that one interesting spot, maybe a walk that's about him instead of about you, those moments tell him you value what he values. And that deepens trust in a way commands never will. Because when you respect his joys, you shape the kind of dog who trusts you with everything. And that trust can take a painful hit if you let him think your hands are just another toy for his teeth. That's the next mistake we need to talk about. It starts when he's small enough to fit in your arms, all clumsy paws and soft teeth. You're playing on the floor, he mouths your fingers, and you laugh because it doesn't hurt. Maybe you even wiggle your hand to keep the game going. In that moment, it feels harmless, adorable even. But what you're really teaching him is that your hand is a toy. Fast forward a year. Those teeth are stronger now his jaw can crush a bone, and that same playful nip leaves a mark. He doesn't know the difference between puppy bite and too hard. You taught him that the rules don't change. And one day he'll try it with a child, or with someone who doesn't understand he means no harm, and that's when things can go wrong fast. I've seen this mistake turn into heartbreak. A dog loses freedom, or even his home over a behavior that started as a game. But here's the good news: you can stop it before it ever becomes a problem. Never use your hands as the toy. Always redirect to something he's allowed to bite: a rope, a ball, a chew bone. If his teeth touch your skin, end the play right there. He'll learn quickly that gentle mouths get more time with you, because the way you set boundaries now shapes how safe he'll be around everyone he meets. And even when you get that right, there's another way we cross his boundaries without realizing, not with our hands, but with the clothes we put on his back. And that's next. You see a tiny sweater in the store, maybe a raincoat with little paw prints, and you picture how cute he'll look. Or maybe it's cold outside, and you think he needs this to stay warm. Sometimes you're right. But here's the truth. Most people don't think about: not every dog needs clothes, and not every dog is comfortable wearing them. For breeds with thick coats, huskies, malamutes, shepherds, that extra layer can trap heat and make them miserable. I've seen dogs freeze in place the moment the shirt goes on, not because they're shy, but because they feel trapped, restricted, unsure how to move. They lick their lips, turn their heads away, maybe even refuse to walk. These are their ways of saying, "I'm not okay," and if we ignore that, we're telling them their comfort doesn't matter. Of course, for short-haired breeds, seniors, or dogs with health issues, the right clothing in the cold can be a kindness. But the key is to watch him. If he moves easily, if his body stays loose, if he goes about his business without trying to get it off, you've probably made the right call. If not, take it off. Sometimes the best way to show love is to let him feel like himself. Because when a dog feels free in his own skin, he can focus on you, and that connection grows in ways you can see. And one of the most powerful ways he builds that bond is through something so simple you might not even notice it until you take it away. That's what we're talking about next. You've felt it, that quiet moment when he's lying nearby, his eyes fixed on you. Maybe you're reading, cooking, watching TV, and you catch him just watching. Some people get uncomfortable with that and try to break the habit. They shoo the dog away or tell him to stop staring. But here's what most owners don't realize: that gaze is one of the purest gifts he can give you. In the wild wolves, look to the leader for cues, reading every move, every breath, to know what's coming next. Our dogs do the same, but with one extra layer: love. Research has shown that when dogs and their people make soft, sustained eye contact, both experience a rise in oxytocin, the same hormone that bonds a parent to a child. That look isn't random. It's trust. It's connection. It's him saying, "I'm here with you." When we push him away in those moments, we're not just ending eye contact. We're closing a door he's been brave enough to open. And if it happens enough, he'll stop trying, not because he doesn't care, but because he thinks you don't want it. The fix is so simple, it's almost silly. Let him look. Meet his eyes. Smile. Say his name softly. Give him a gentle touch when he comes closer. Those tiny moments add up, weaving trust tighter every day. And when you have that trust, you protect it with everything you've got, especially when it comes to what you feed him as he grows older. That's our next stop. He's been eating the same food for years, and he still finishes every bowl. You take that as a good sign. Why change what isn't broken? But here's the truth. Most owners miss what worked for him. As a young dog might be quietly working against him now. As dogs age, their bodies change in ways you can't see. Muscle mass starts to slip away. Joints take more of a beating. The immune system needs more help to fight off illness. Studies on senior canine nutrition show that older dogs often need more high-quality protein, not less, along with targeted nutrients, to keep their bodies strong without packing on unhealthy weight. Keep feeding a one-size-fits-all diet, and you could be starving his muscles while feeding his waistline. I've seen dogs come back to life when their diet was tailored to their age. More energy, brighter eyes, even a shinier coat. It's not about trendy ingredients or expensive brands. It's about the right balance for where he is right now. Talk to your vet. Ask what adjustments would keep him healthy and active for as long as possible. The food in his bowl isn't just fuel. It's medicine. It's love you can measure in every bite. Because when you feed him for the life he's living now, you're giving him more good days. And yet, even with the perfect diet, there's one last mistake that can undo it all, not seeing the signs when something's wrong until it's too late. That's where we're going next. It's easy to think you'd notice right away if something was wrong. But dogs are masters at hiding pain. It's in their nature. In the wild, weakness can be dangerous. So they mask it. They keep moving, keep wagging, keep showing up for you. Until they can't anymore. Maybe it starts small. He skips a meal here and there. He doesn't greet you at the door like he used to. His walk slows just a little, or he spends more time lying in one spot. You tell yourself it's nothing, that it'll pass. But those subtle shifts are often the first signs of something bigger: kidney issues, heart problems, even cancer. By the time the signs are obvious, the fight is harder, the options fewer. I've watched owners carry the weight of that regret, wishing they'd taken the trip to the vet sooner, wishing they'd trusted their gut instead of waiting. The truth is, you know your dog better than anyone. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't wait for it to get worse. Get the checkup. Run the tests. Give yourself the peace of knowing you acted when it mattered most. Because catching something early can mean more days together, more walks, more quiet moments, where he just looks at you like you're his whole world. And that's the point, isn't it? To give him a life so full of trust, safety, and love that there's nothing left to forgive. You started this video because you love your dog. You walk him, feed him, keep him warm at night. You've done those things for years, believing they were enough. And maybe they were, until you realized some of those habits could quietly be hurting him. 70% of owners make at least one of these mistakes without knowing it. But you've made it to the end, which means you're not in that 70% anymore. Think about what you've seen here. 16 ways trust can be chipped away, sometimes by a jerk of the leash, sometimes by a raised voice, sometimes by what you don't see at all. And 16 ways to turn each of those moments into something better. None of them require fancy tools or endless training. They just ask you to slow down, notice more, and choose differently. Picture it the way he'll look at you when the leash doesn't pull, when your voice stays calm, when you let him sniff a little longer, or wake up on his own. The way he'll lean into you not because he has to, but because he wants to. That's the kind of bond no one can buy, and no dog will ever need to forgive. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one thing from this list and change it today. Watch how he responds. Then pick another. Keep going until every one of these mistakes is just something other owners still make. And when you get there, you'll know. You'll see it in his eyes, feel it in the way he follows you, sense it in the quiet moments you share. That's when you'll know you're part of the 2%. The ones whose dogs don't just obey them, they adore them. And that's the only list worth being on. Do you love your dog and believe you're taking great care of them? What if I told you that you, the one who loves them the most, might be unknowingly hurting them every single day. Picture a peaceful afternoon, letting your pup run free at the park. They look up at you with sparkling eyes, almost smiling. But behind that loving gaze might be a silent pain you'd never suspect. They can't speak. All they can do is trust. And that unconditional trust makes it easy for us to overlook the tiniest warning signs of mistakes, even dangers. So, if you own an Adora or any breed of dog, this video is for you. 12 common, seemingly harmless mistakes that might be silently shortening your beloved dog's lifespan. Number 3 sounds unbelievable, but it's backed by science. And the last one might make you shudder when you think about the last time you did it. Remember the first collar you bought for your dog? It was probably adorable, a symbol of your bond. But don't let that cuteness come at the cost of invisible pain. Many people assume a collar just needs to fit, but in truth, the right collar can affect your dog's physical health, mental well-being, and development. Too tight, and it could crush their windpipe. Too loose, and your dog could slip free and run into danger. Some collars are even designed to release if snagged, preventing tragic choking accidents. But the real danger isn't the collar's design. It's how we use it. Many people unconsciously jerk the leash when their dog misbehaves. It may seem minor, but over time, this can damage their throat, especially for smaller breeds. A proper collar doesn't just fit. It needs to reflect how gently you love. They don't need much, just to know that love means holding on without hurting. What kind of collar do you use? Share it so other dog owners can learn from you. And then there's a place that can turn a loving dog owner into someone unknowingly cruel in just a few minutes. You've probably heard someone say, "It's just a few minutes in the car. It'll be fine." But in truth, just 10 minutes in a parked car can turn it into an oven. According to NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, a parked car's temperature can rise 20 degrees Fahrenheit, about 11 degrees Celsius, in 10 minutes, even in the shade. That means on a mild 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius day, your car could reach over 104 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Celsius, inside. Dogs can't sweat like humans, and their cooling systems are limited. That makes them dangerously prone to heat stroke, collapse, even death. Small signs, heavy panting, drooling, unsteady standing, might be their final cries for help. If you've ever thought, "It's just 5 minutes." Imagine being trapped in a metal box with no way out. They can't open the door, but you can choose not to close it. Have you ever seen a dog left in a hot car? Tell your story. You might save a life. And if that makes your heart sink, what comes next might make you feel ashamed. You brush your teeth every day. But have you ever brushed your dogs? Sounds like a luxury, right? But according to the American Veterinary Dental College, AVDC, over 80% of dogs over age 3 have serious dental disease, simply because their owners don't clean their teeth. Plaque, gum infections, abscesses, they all silently wreak havoc, damaging the liver, kidneys, heart, and shortening your dog's life. You don't need anything fancy. Just 2 to 3 times a week, use a special dog toothbrush or wrap gauze around your finger. As for toothpaste, there are flavors like roasted chicken or beef stew. Your dog will love it. And dental toys? What seems like just playtime is actually powerful natural cleaning. Feeling lazy? Remember, your dog can't say it hurts, but the bacteria in their mouth will by quietly destroying their health. They smile with their eyes, but suffer in silence. Have you tried brushing your dog's teeth before? Share any tips. You might save more than one smile. And then there are mistakes that don't happen in the mouth, but in what's on your plate. Have you ever eaten a cookie while your dog looks at you like an angel begging for mercy? Just a bite won't hurt, many think. But to a dog, that bite can be like a punch to the gut. Human food often contains salt, spices, sweeteners, and fats that a dog's system can't handle. Even one sugar-free candy with xylitol can cause their blood sugar to crash, leading to seizures, coma, even death. And you won't know until it's too late. The list of toxic foods is long. Grapes, chocolate, onions, avocados, alcohol, coffee, even cheese. They eat with trust. Are you feeding them with ignorance? Instead of tossing them your snack, prepare some dog-safe treats, properly researched and tested for their safety and dosage. Your pup will still wag with joy, but this time with no risk involved. They don't ask for much. We're just too generous in the wrong way. Have you ever accidentally fed your dog something harmful? Share to help others avoid the same mistake. And if you think food is the only danger, imagine your dog's first visit to the park. Ending in fear. A dog park sounds like heaven for any pup. But are you sure it's safe for their first steps? Puppies, like toddlers, have immature immune systems, underdeveloped social skills, and poor body language reading. Meanwhile, parks are packed with all kinds of dogs, older, aggressive, sick, stressed, or simply wanting to be left alone. One rough tackle or sudden pounce can scar a pup for life, or worse, physically injure them. Public spaces are also hot spots for viruses like parvo and distemper. A few minutes of play could mean weeks in the hospital if they're not fully vaccinated. Instead of the park, start with quiet walks or play dates with dogs you know. Show your pup the world is fun, but also safe. They can't say, "I'm scared," but you can stop before fear takes hold. Have you taken your puppy out in public for the first time? How was that experience? And then, some of the deepest damage comes not from outside, but from our own hands. Have you ever hit your dog out of frustration because they weren't listening? If so, you're not alone, but you need to stop, starting today. To us, a slap means punishment. To a dog, it means betrayal. They don't understand why you're angry. They only feel, my human is mad, and I'm hurt. Each time it happens, their trust in you cracks a little more. Some say, if I don't punish them, they won't learn. But behavioral science says otherwise. Rewarding good behavior is far more effective. When rewarded, dogs remember the positive and want to repeat it. When punished, they just learn to hide. Or worse, become anxious, afraid, even aggressive. If your dog misbehaves, pause, stay quiet, change the environment, or redirect their attention. Once calm, teach again, and reward clearly when they get it right. They don't need perfection, just someone patient enough to love them the right way. What's your take on physical punishment in training? Share your story. Someone might learn from it. And if you've ever thought, dogs just need food, sleep, and walks, the next point might change everything. Have you ever thought, dogs don't need entertainment, just a walk, and they're good? Not quite. Imagine a child locked in a room. No toys, no conversation. Dogs, especially smart-working breeds like Border Collies, Labs, and Goldens, need more than presence. They need stimulation. Without it, they get bored, leading to chewing, digging, barking, or even licking themselves raw. We see bad behavior, but miss the cries for help. Quick tip: Spend 15 to 20 minutes a day on mental games. Hide treats, teach a new trick, use puzzle toys, or let them choose your walking route. That's enough to light up their brain and their heart. They won't say, "I'm bored," but their actions scream it. Got a favorite mental game for your dog? Share it. We can all learn together. And when you take them out, there's one innocent habit that could be deadly. You buckle your child, you strap in while driving. What about your dog? Many think they'll just sit there. But in an accident, a 22-pound dog can hit you with the force of over 600 pounds. They're not just at risk, you are too. Unsecured dogs can panic when braking or jump out a window. Accidents wait for no one, and dogs can't protect themselves. The fix? Super simple. Buy a dog seat belt, a crate, or a back seat barrier. Whatever fits your lifestyle. Your dog won't mind. But if something goes wrong, you'll wish you had done it sooner. They don't need the best seat, just a safe one to return home in. Where does your dog sit in the car? Do you use any safety gear? Share it. And then, there's danger not from toys or food, but from the tiniest creatures. Are you sure you're protecting your dog from fleas, ticks, and heartworms? They're not just annoying. They carry deadly diseases. Many people only treat their dogs in summer or when they start scratching. But by the time you see it, it's often too late. Thousands of dogs die yearly from parasites, most of which could have been prevented. A tick the size of a sesame seed can paralyze. A single mosquito carrying heartworm can kill in under 2 years. The saddest part? Prevention is readily available at any vet, but often forgotten. Set a reminder. 1 pill or topical treatment each month, per your vet's advice. A small act that could mean a longer, healthier life. They can't say, "I'm itchy," but they'll thank you with years of love. How do you prevent fleas, ticks, or heartworms? Drop your tips below. And if tiny pests are scary, the next danger might come from something you thought was just cleaning up. Ever tidied up and tossed around old screws, batteries, coins, chargers, or dirty socks? To you, it's trash. To your dog, it's an invitation. And those small objects? They can choke, puncture, or kill. Did you know socks are a top cause of intestinal blockage in some breeds due to their chew and swallow habits? Don't wait until your dog needs surgery to remove a battery, button, or Lego brick. Baby-proof your home, just like you would for a curious toddler. They don't know what's dangerous, but you do. Has your dog ever swallowed something strange? That story could be someone else's lifesaver. And sometimes, the deepest mistakes come not from neglect, but from misguided love. You love dogs, so you think all breeds are the same. Just feed and care for them. But did you know? Pugs can struggle to breathe in heat. Chihuahuas tremble from anxiety, not cold. And golden retrievers are twice as likely to get cancer? Each breed is a different body, a unique medical book. If you don't read it, you might be carrying wrong from day one. Before adopting or starting now, take a few minutes to research your dog's breed, their diet, health, temperament. A single Google search could give you years more together. They don't choose their breed, but you can choose to understand them better. What breed do you have? Any special tips? Share to help others start on the right foot. And finally, one small thing. If you forget it, your dog could silently suffer for life. When was the last time you took your dog in for a full health check? Don't wait until they stop eating, lose weight, or hide in the corner. The American Animal Hospital Association, HHA, says over 65% of chronic illnesses in dogs are diagnosed too late, simply because owners didn't catch them early. Diabetes, liver disease, cancer, many are treatable if caught in time. Dogs don't cry out. They endure until they can't anymore. A blood test, heart scan, or ultrasound could save a life. Schedule checkups every 6 months and show your love through action. They can't book a vet, but you can take them there. Do you have regular checkups for your dog? Your story might inspire someone else to act. Now that you know what to do, it's time to reflect on what we may have done wrong. Taking care of a dog isn't just feeding, playing, or walking. It's about noticing the subtle, understanding the unique, and sometimes correcting the things we thought were harmless. They can't speak. They can't fight back. But they love you with every loyal instinct they have. So if you've made one of these mistakes, don't blame yourself. Let today be the start of a new chapter. To love better, protect more, and walk this journey together with kindness. Which point hit you the hardest in today's video? I'd love to read your story in the comments, because your experience might stop another dog owner from repeating the same mistake. In the next video, we'll explore small behaviors that reveal whether your dog is sad or deeply happy. Signs you might see every day without realizing. And if this video helped you understand your dog better, hit that subscribe button so I can keep creating meaningful content for you and your furry friend. See you next time, and may you and your four-legged companion stay safe, healthy, and more connected every day.